Hi, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Webcast Wednesday. My name is Avni Gala, and I'm the marketing manager here at FineTech. Today, Webcast Wednesday invites you to a special presentation in which Thomas Hayes from FortiMail will help us learn about FortiSandbox and FortiMail. So let's look at today's agenda. For those who are new here, I'm going to do a little introduction on FineTech. Then we're going to do today's presentation by Thomas, followed by Q&A. And finally, we are going to do our two drawings for $25 Amazon gift card. So for those who are not familiar with FineTech, we are a value-added distributor that specializes specifically in network security and IT security solutions. We work with Fortinet, Area Networks, AlgoStack, Bradford Networks, Exablocks, which is now bought by StorageCraft, and Breckmont IT. So these are the companies we distribute products of. And we have also been the 2014 and 2015 Distributor of the Year for Fortinet. And the services that we provide include inventory. So we're one of the value-added distributor that would hold inventory for customers well-built. We provide financing, so we give you flexible payment methods. We do sales support from initial quote to close, any marketing support like events, webinars, advertising campaigns, and any technical services from demo to deployment. So if you need an extra hand, we supply hand to the demand. So that's about us. And before I hand it over to Thomas, let me brief you on his bio and what the webinar will cover. So Thomas Hayes is a systems engineer at Fortinet in Plano, Texas. He started out as a technical support rep, and he has worked with customers over the last 10 years to identify and solve IT and security challenges. Before working at Fortinet, he worked for a Fortinet partnered value-added reseller, building and deploying multi-vendor solutions. And today he will talk about how, as a part of Fortinet Security Fabric, FortiMail prevents your email systems from becoming threat delivery systems. Today, you know how most sophisticated cyber criminals are increasingly bypassing traditional anti-malware solutions and inserting advanced persistent threat deep within networks. He will also talk about FortiSandbox and how FortiSandbox offers a robust combination of proactive detection and mitigation, actionable threat insight, and integrated and automated deployment. So now, without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Thomas to further explore the subject.
Hello, everyone. I'm looking for, Ivani, I need the option to share my screen, if I could.
Oh, you can just hit share screen and you should be able to share your screen. You have it says new share.
Got it. Sorry about that. So yeah, thanks everyone. My name is Thomas Hayes. I'm going to be talking today about FortiMail and the integration with FortiSandbox. We're going to take this piece by piece and talk about, as Ivani said, how FortiMail can be used to make sure that your internal users are protected behind FortiMail from any malicious emails that might be coming their way, but also how to make sure that your SMTP server does not become a threat delivery system. So starting out, FortiMail is a top-rated multi-layer threat protection that secures the organization, data, and users. We do integrate data leak prevention. This can be policy-based or user-initiated, and archiving support for compliance. We're going to dive into those features and functionality a little bit later. We feel, after some competitive analysis, that we offer an industry-leading price-to-performance ratio. We have a lot of flexible deployment modes and architectures depending on the customer's environment. This is a scalable solution, as we'll see, from the mom-and-pop SMB organization all the way up through carrier level and MSSP requirements. The Threat intelligence for FortiMail is provided by FortiGuard Labs, which we can dive into. It's an integral part of all of the threat intelligence services provided by Fortinet. We do have about 50,000 customers. Some of those important logos are listed here. In the larger Fortinet customer base, we have about 3 million customers worldwide and 300,000 customers in the US. So diving into FortiMail, so this is, we're going to kind of go piece by piece through the two solutions. They're both pretty robust. So looking at FortiMail, this is a technology that's going to provide some low impact scanning. So we like to take a phased approach as we're receiving and inspecting emails and make sure that we're applying the lowest cost or lowest cycle requiring scanning engines first. So the first thing we'll do is utilize our IP reputation, our botnet tracking database, look at the sender reputation, and that's a very quick way for us to be able to reject spam with a very high accuracy rate. Going forward from there, still staying with the FortiMail product, we're going to be looking at some heuristics, some content, utilizing our CPRL engine for that second phase of malware detection. This is a unique architecture which does not rely on mail queuing as with other solutions. If mail is received and the destination is unavailable, the message is scanned in real time and proxied to the destination without any queuing. If the destination mail server is unavailable, the message does obviously get queued if the destination is not available. This unique architecture delivers unprecedented performance and makes the solution scalable to ISP and carrier levels. FortiMail is designed to perform spam detection in both inbound and outbound directions. The inbound spam detection protects your internal users, or the customer's internal users, and the outbound spam detection is critical in order to protect the reputation of the network and the domain. It's been designed to optimize performance and detect malicious content as soon as possible with as little resource impact as possible. The detection is performed in a specific order. First, we're going to use connection-based methods using as we mentioned earlier, the FortiGuard IP reputation, the botnet database, sender reputation, and connection rate limiting. We can utilize header-based methods looking at recipient verification, RFC compliance, SMTP error rate control, sender whitelist and blacklist, DHA protection, SPF and domain key identified mail, gray listing, and going forward a little bit, this next inspection methods do require a little bit more cycles. We're going to be looking at the FortiGuard spam database, heuristic detection, Bayesian filtering. We can provide some newsletter detection and filtering down to the client, anti-malware detection, and web content filtering. So diving in a little bit deeper on the spam detection, this is a low impact detection method based on globally observed external malicious behavior, which is driven by FortiGuard services, or locally observed malicious behavior, which is dynamic sender reputation, connection rate limiting. These methods detect and prevent spam with minimal impact on the device with a high catch rate and low false positive rate. Some new low volume spam may initially evade these protection methods, so other lower level methods are employed. Header filtering techniques rely on allowing the email exchange to begin, validating the details, and looking for anomalies in this phase. These techniques may include verifying the existence of the destination user with an accepted receipt to, validating the request to comply with RFC standards, rate limiting, white and blacklisting, repeated requests to send a mail to a random usernames like Andy at, Brian at, Carl at, in order to harvest the directory. Support for emerging standards for the verification of sending server to prevent spoofing using DNS techniques. So this could be the sender policy framework, domain keys, identified emails, RFC 4871, and that's supported by Yahoo, Gmail, and AOL. We can also use temporary fail of SMTP transfer for mail being sent to FortiMail to protect against botnet spam distribution. Full content filtering is going to be looking at the body, any attachments, and that's where we're going to be utilizing the FortiGuard spam checksum database, heuristic, Bayesian filtering, newsletter detection, So these later methods are the most resource intensive. So it's more efficient to detect mail using the previous techniques, but these later techniques that are more resource intensive can improve the catch rate to 99.8% plus. This gives us a little bit of detail into how we approach malware. This is our anti-malware engine. We can obviously compare any files in the email to our signature database. We can utilize CPRL, which is a Fortinet proprietary technology, content pattern recognition language, where we're essentially opening up the payload of those files and looking for malicious attributes. Some of the pieces in here, specifically behavior analysis, is something that is offloaded to FortiSandbox, and we're going to dive into that a little bit later in this presentation. So looking at starting to talk about FortiSandbox a little bit here, once FortiMail has come across a file that cannot be readily convicted or rated as benign or malicious, this is where we start to offload these files to Sandbox for behavioral detection. The FortiMail, as you can see, it's going to block known threats. It's going to quarantine suspicious or high-risk objects for more inspection, and then it can release or delete those messages based on the FortiSandbox risk rating. FortiSandbox is a technology that we provide that will run objects in a contained environment to analyze their activities. It will be able to provide a low, medium, or risk rating that FortiMail can then take action on, and it's going to provide some threat lifecycle information and some reports detailing exactly what behaviors that suspected file engaged in, whether it was escalating privileges, rewriting DLLs, renaming, copying, that type of malicious behavior. This is where this is a slide that we'll use to visually illustrate what types of files are going to be sent to FortiSandbox for further inspection. You know, on the left we have known good files. They're known good because they're on a whitelist. They have a reputation. They match an app signature. On the right, we have obviously bad files that do not require further inspection. They're on a blacklist. They match a virus signature. And in the middle, we have some files that are kind of in this gray area in the continuum of good to bad file types. So this area in the middle that might be good. It seems sort of suspicious. It's crossed a threshold based on CPRL inspection, or it's a completely unknown file. And these are the types of files that can be sent to FortiSandbox for further inspection. This is a way for us to reduce false positives and make sure that we're accurately convicting files as malicious. Exactly what FortiSandbox tells you. So FortiSandbox is going to flag objects within network traffic for more inspection. It runs those objects in a secure virtual environment, analyzing the system, site, any communication or download activity. And based on that activity, it'll provide a risk rating using FortiGuard expertise. It'll uncover threat lifecycle information for remediation and updated protection. And it allows for information sharing with FortiGuard experts in the global intelligence network. This has been FortiSandbox has been tested by a number of independent third-party testers with a slide that details that information. We have been rated as top performance by ICSIA and NSS Labs for access control of high-performance networks. We're top rated by NSS Labs, Virus Bulletin, AV Comparatives for real-world threat prevention, real-world threat detection, also with NSS Labs. And to date, we have used FortiSandbox to uncover more than 300 zero-day attacks that we have then shared with the Fortinet community and the global community as a whole through the sharing with VirusTotal. Looking at the FortiSandbox integration, how does FortiMail communicate these files to FortiSandbox for further inspection? So where FortiMail takes the first step and provides some resource, some less resource-intensive process inspection methodologies to those files, it's matching to a virus list, that type of thing. Once it's identified that a file needs to be submitted, it'll submit those files to FortiSandbox for additional analysis. You can control the submissions based on file type, and that's a way to make sure that we're not overwhelming FortiSandbox with every single email that may contain a file, or you could even send every email that would a lot of times put an undue burden on FortiSandbox. We can queue messages during analysis. We can FortiMail, based on the results that it gets from FortiSandbox, can automatically take action on that email message based on the results from FortiSandbox, and it can access additional FortiSandbox intelligence through FortiGuard Labs. Sandbox in turn is going to be receiving messages from FortiMail. It'll analyze all of the objects and activity, return the rating for the submission, and FortiSandbox will also be responsible for maintaining a list of FortiSandbox results. We have a couple of deployment methods. FortiSandbox is actually the technology that Fortinet has been using since its inception to identify unknown or zero-day threats. About a number of years ago, we productized it, and we came up with a couple of models that fit different customer needs. For larger customers who have larger networks and greater traffic, we will offer a FortiSandbox on-premise that can be a hardware or a VM. The VM is a VM inside a VM. So a lot of times on the SE side, we will attempt to move people towards the hardware appliance, and that FortiSandbox appliance that's on-premise is going to be able to receive input and file submissions from FortiGate, FortiWeb, and FortiMail, and today FortiClient. FortiSandbox Cloud is a FortiSandbox appliance that we maintain. It's a shared pool, and this is a lower cost way to access the functionality available in FortiSandbox. So this is cloud hosted, maintained by us, and each FortiMail, whether it's FortiGate, FortiClient, each of those can have a license to be able to submit files to FortiSandbox for deeper inspection. A little bit more on this. We've covered a lot of this now, but this just gives a little bit more detail around some of the differences between FortiSandbox on-premise and FortiSandbox Cloud. Same idea, but this is just a way to give us a little bit more detail about how these different integrations operate. One difference I can note here that's important is the reporting and statistics that come out of an on-premise FortiSandbox appliance are more robust. There's a little bit more granularity and visibility into what took place on the FortiSandbox than what is available on the FortiSandbox Cloud. Sandboxing, one thing to note, sandboxing is resource and time intensive. It takes time to let a file run so you can analyze its behavior. Sandbox is architected to optimize security effectiveness and speed to results. It uses a multi-step approach to evaluate and analyze objects, starting with the most efficient technologies and stepping up to more recent resource-intensive approaches as needed. FortiSandbox goes through 5 steps. It'll run the files through Fortinet's AV engine. The AV pre-filter uses a larger, more extended threat database from FortiGuard Labs in order to catch more variants and other variants of malware. It's the extended database. It's enabled through CLI. It's available on certain models of FortiGate. FortiSandbox, the second step is FortiSandbox will perform a cloud query to see if this file has been previously identified. In some systems, this is referred to as a file reputation check. And step 3 that the FortiSandbox will take is that it'll put the code through a simulator and Fortinet's CPRL language to analyze the code, see if any malicious or suspicious patterns can be identified. Those 3 steps are usually performed in just a few seconds. And on average, these 3 steps are able to identify over 60% of threats. The 4th step, the code is placed in a full virtual sandbox environment and allowed to run. The behavior lifecycle of the code is observed, and if the object is malicious, it will expose itself. The activity in the sandbox is analyzed to identify if it is malicious or suspicious, and the activity is documented. The object is assigned a risk rating and is then reported out. So in this case, since we're talking about FortiMail, FortiSandbox integration, it'll report that analysis back to FortiMail, so FortiMail can take pre-configured action. Also, the findings from that analysis can be shared with FortiGuard Labs in order to create new security updates in order to improve the extended FortiGuard security ecosystem. A little bit of detail here, looking at data loss prevention. This is a feature available in FortiMail that is not, there's no additional licensing or cost associated with having this feature. This comes as a part of the FortiMail solution, where many of our competitors do separately license this technology. And this has to do with, as mail is leaving an organization, it may contain, especially in the case of healthcare providers, banks, financial firms, heavily regulated industries, those emails may contain regulated data or sensitive data. So social security numbers, credit card numbers, other types of data that could be valuable to an attacker. So as the email is on its way out, it's inspected the body, any attachments, and if FortiMail sees that there is if there is content in the email that matches a pre-built library of lexicon, customers can also write their own regex expressions to add to that database if they have some, types of information that are specific to them that they want to identify. Once FortiMail sees that, it can take action to encrypt and deliver those messages. For the delivery option, we do offer identity-based encryption, which is essentially a portal-based delivery system. We can encrypt that message down to the inbox, the recipient's inbox, where they can take action to decrypt it. So the recipient will receive a notification message. They'll click a link. They'll take them to the portal. The portal can be customized and branded and white labeled to match the organization's branding. And from there, they will be able to view their message. This is very similar. For those of you on the call, if you've ever logged into your bank's secure messaging platform, it's a similar type of idea. So this is looking at the quarantine function, the end user digest. This is, we're talking here about as email is coming into the organization, messages that are identified as spam or viruses, generally you'll just want to block messages containing viruses. But we will quarantine those messages in FortiMail, and then the user will have an opportunity through a self-service digest to make decisions on the email that has made its way into the quarantine folder on FortiMail. So they can, on their own volition, decide to release those messages down to the inbox or delete them or just leave them in the quarantine. We could also automatically tag and deliver those messages. And the benefit there is that the messages get down to the user. They don't have to remember to check their quarantine, and they can configure rules on their email client, whether it's Outlook or something else, to deliver those messages to the appropriate folder based on the tag that we've added to it. Archiving is an important conversation, especially where we discussed earlier encrypted messaging. Many organizations, especially organizations implementing secure messaging technology, are going to have some compliance requirements to be able to turn around and share emails related to some specific incident or emails that were exchanged during a time period as part of an investigation. They can be ordered by court to produce those emails, and you have to have a way to provide unencrypted copies of those messages to the regulatory body or the court that is asking for it. So through archiving, we can help organizations meet those regulatory obligations. and this is, you know, the archive is going to work on a policy-based basis. Could be the sender or the recipient. It could be based on the subject line, body, any attachments, file names is a great, efficient way to identify messages that might need to be archived. So this is fully supported. We have a lot of several deployment options based on the customer's requirements. Many customers today are moving their email to Office 365. In that case, we would recommend keeping your secure, email security gateway in the cloud as well, so that you're not routing messages to the customer's location and then back up to Office 365 and then back down to the client. That can be inefficient and introduce a single point of failure. So we do have a cloud-based deployment option. You could utilize the cloud-based deployment option as they've got pictured here at the top with the gateway. This could be your SMTP server could be on-premise and the gateway could be in the cloud. We can offer a transparent inline mode, which is a functionality of FortiMail. And then we could also, they picture it here, the server mode, this box on the bottom right. FortiMail does function as a full SMTP server as well as a secure email gateway. However, we see this on a very limited basis. But if they want to replace Exchange or Office 365 or Lotus or some other SMTP server with FortiMail, it is capable of providing that functionality. We mentioned at the beginning a little bit about high availability and scalability. FortiMail, if both are configured, can work in an active passive mode, which would limit it to 2 devices. They give you failover protection. They share a heartbeat, service monitoring. That is a very common clustering option, where if you can configure, if you've got a larger deployment or a larger opportunity where they need more than just 2 devices, we do have a configuration option it'll scale up to 25 devices, process, you see 28 million messages an hour. So this is a scalability option that'll work for the very largest carrier or MSSP environments. We mentioned this just now. For the MSSP service framework, if they are supporting a number of customers, they do have the opportunity to brand the customer experience with their own branding. So the MSSP might have a customer here, we're talking about Acme mail service. That way, when internal users, or if it's in the case of a bank, communicating with bank customers are logging into the secure portal, those experiences are going to be branded with the customer's logo and that type of thing to make sure that they have a seamless customer experience. A little bit about FortiGuard Labs. For those of you that are not familiar with FortiGuard, this is a team of a little bit north of 200 threat researchers, and most of them are in Vancouver, Canada. They are distributed around the globe. The majority of them are in Vancouver, and they are ingesting data from the 3 million devices we have deployed around the world to categorize websites, notice spam outbreaks, publish signatures for viruses, and then communicate that out to customers with applicable licenses. Fortinet provides top-rated threat protection. We're an all-in-one threat and data protection shop. We have seen over and over again over the years that we offer the industry best performance to price ratio, no per user licensing, NSS Labs, AB comparatives, VB, Bulletin. They all, we work with a lot of independent third-party testers in order to document the efficacy of our solution versus our competitors. We have a number of physical and virtual appliances available. We can provide this slide deck to you at the end. This is pretty self-explanatory. If you are working with a customer and you'd like some help on a sizing conversation to make sure that we're getting the right appliance or VM, for your customer, then we have a number of SEs, field SEs, and internal SEs like me that can work with you and your customer. We can work with you directly or work with your customer, whatever you like, to make sure that we're getting the right appliance. But the 3000D all the way down to the VM00, we provide a broad range of options to suit the customer's requirements. So I've seen a number of questions come in here. I'm going to pop this open.
Okay, if you guys have any questions, please insert them in the Q&A box or the chat box on your window.
I see a lot of you are having trouble hearing me. I thought I was getting lots and lots of questions. It looks like people are notifying us that they're having some trouble hearing.
Oh, actually, it was, I think it was a problem on their end. One of the persons said it, but it was a problem on her end. So I think you were good.
Okay. All right. Well,
Yep.
email is a hot topic. Going back to 2012, there are about 30 industry breach reports and investigative reports from Verizon, Google, IBM, McAfee, Fortinet. We all publish our annual breach reports. And going back to 2012, you can see that in the Verizon breach report, about 18% of socially engineered attacks came in over email. That number has continued to grow over the years. This is something security vendors have been shouting from the mountaintops for a long, long time. Obviously there are some recent news events that can demonstrate, the importance of email. And typically you'll see, depending on where you get your numbers or which report you pay attention to, north of 60% of ransomware and crypto type attacks are delivered via email. So this is a top priority area. It's a top priority attack vector. It's very convenient for attackers because email does connect them directly to individuals in an organization. There are a number of attack methodologies that are utilized over email, and it's important to understand those, or at least to rely on a secure email gateway like FortiMail integrated with FortiSandbox to identify the known good, the known bad, and everything in between with FortiSandbox.
Okay, I don't see any questions yet. Meanwhile, thank you, Thomas, so much for taking your time out to present and educate our partners. I know this was last moment for you to take, taking over stand, but thank you again for stepping up.
Absolutely, yeah. Thanks for the opportunity to talk with you all.
No problem. Let me take the control back and share my screen. So before we jump onto the raffle drawing, I'm going to talk about a couple things here. First of all, it will be the Fortinet's PAN competitive takeout program. So as you might already know, that Palo Alto Networks has EOL'd many hardware models, making now the perfect time to engage with customers and prospects to replace their Palo Alto equipment with Fortinet hardware. So to help you take advantage of this opportunity, Fortinet has created a special pricing offer as well as a discount on professional services and developed sales enablement and demand gen materials, all designed to incentivize your customers to make the switch. The offer here is that the PAN competitive takeout program includes an opportunity for resellers to take advantage of the increased discount on hardware and software bundles, as well as a discount on the professional services with a minimum order of $50,000 in product net to Fortinet. So, this is the right time for you to make the switch. So take advantage. And if you have more questions, here is our sales territory map that, you can contact your regional sales rep for more questions on any matter. Also, here is our partner portal. You can have access to additional resources such as our Webcast one-page videos and presentations, as well as partner promotions, Fortinet talking points, and additional resources like Flying Tech Line Card and the sales territory map that I just showed you. It only takes a couple minutes to register, so take advantage of registering with us and having access to all these additional resources. And if you have any questions related to marketing services, you can always email me at marketing@finetech.com. And now it's drawing time. Okay. I've already included everyone's name, and I'm going to do a final drawing for 2 people to win a $25 Amazon gift card. Okay, so it's Nicole Cutchins and Heidi Kahlo. Congratulations on winning the $25 Amazon gift card. I am going to later email you with your e-code. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us, and we will see you on May 31st with FortiNet again. Thank you, Thomas.
Thank you.
Thank you.